Good
Morning.
morning. How are you?
Uh-oh, I might hold on, my sound's turned off. Okay. Oops. Okay, I should be able to hear you now.
Can you hear me?
I
Yeah.
can, but I can't hear the waves behind you, which would be really
Or the wind?
the wind and the waves. Here we go. The big moment has arrived.
Yep.
How are you doing today?
Okay. So we only have one action item, and so Jeff did say I do have to go through and make sure I record who makes the motion and then who votes and seconds, but he said everything else should be recorded and all that other stuff.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
That sounds great. We were scheduled for 2 hours, 10 to 12. Okay. We're gonna learn a lot today.
Yep, we are.
Hey, guess what? I had this really awesome candidate apply for the project administrator. Did you see that this morning? They qualified him.
Oh, yes.
And so that means we have 2 really good candidates in that list.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. I think they're super different kinds of people too, which I like, because we're hiring Paul Chilman, right? And then there's and then there's Io, he goes by Io, that James guy, and then there's that other one who's talking to the county. You remember the Io thing? I kind of said around. That's him.
Io, he was here the other day.
You're kidding. Oh, that's right. He came to
MPO.
MPO meeting, exactly, because he was really interested to understand and super psyched about it. And then he sent me this big long section, because I guess they sent him an email yesterday that said if you made him host. Yeah, can you make her a co-host, because Alona's going to need to be able to manage some aspects of this. Morning, Eli. Great to see you. How are you doing?
Trying to stay warm like you are. I had to put out the garbage this morning, and I underestimated how far it is from my porch to the driveway and how cold I'd get. It was winter's for real.
I know. It's not like run out without a coat and think you're gonna be okay, right? It's like
yeah, looked all right. No.
It is. Okay, great. I think we definitely have a quorum. We haven't heard from anybody else trying to join, so
we actually don't. We actually, let's see, 1, 2.
Yeah.
We have Aurora, Angelique. Robin is not a member. Jesse or Miho, appreciate both of you being here. Pam, okay. Let's see. Now I have to orient myself, so give me a minute.
You bet.
Regina, it doesn't give me an option to make her a co-host.
Yeah.
Just a host.
Yeah. Once I'm done on mine, I can switch it back over though.
Okay.
That's weird.
It is weird. Maybe it has something to do with the way they set up sort of public meetings.
Yeah. Yeah, because they did make a lot of changes.
And Kathleen, when you're ready, maybe we could just start with some introductions, since we're all new to each other. Or not, you guys are not new to each other, but you're new to us.
Yeah, I'm going to ask for introductions almost entirely because I was actually not notified of who would be in this meeting and what role they were going to play. So I actually need to know that. It has not been explained to me literally who anyone is that I've been communicating with for the past 2 weeks. So
I think it has, but I'd be happy to clarify again.
Well, it was never explained to me, so. Perhaps you're emailing my city email and not actually emailing me.
No, I'm happy to introduce and make sure everybody's clear whenever you're ready.
All right, I call this meeting to order at 10:19 a.m. May we have a roll call, please?
Aurora Bleck.
Present.
Hope Reed,
She has resigned.
Kendra Garcia,
She's excused.
Victor Hughes,
He resigned months ago.
Kathleen Gish,
Here.
Pam Parfit,
Present.
Angelique Montoya Chavez,
Good morning, I'm present.
Miriam Jarhar,
She's excused.
One in the waiting room.
Jose Eli Fresquez,
Good morning, present.
Madam
Another
Chair,
just popped up.
someone else is in the waiting room?
Yes, I just clicked on Gina Maria.
Oh, yeah, Gina Marie, she's, I think she's a member of the public, right?
I am a member of the public, yes.
Morning, Gina Marie, thanks for joining us.
Gina Maria, thank
Gina
you.
Maria, thank you. So hold on, I believe, Aurora said that 4 is a quorum. Do we have does the Madam Chair have a quorum? Alona, can you hear me?
yes.
Does Madam Chair have a quorum?
Do we have a quorum?
I
That's
do.
for you.
Yes,
Okay,
I
thank you.
do. Yes.
Yes, you do, okay, so generally, and we'll do introductions and I'll do some more explaining.
Yes, I'm emailing people who are trying to attend who were having issues with that link. I had to re-forward everything. So give me a minute. I'm replying to.
Everything. Actually, just so you know, hold on, it's usually the staff liaison that's sitting in your seat that says, thank you, Madam Chair, you have a quorum after you do the roll call.
All right, so next we have approval of the agenda. And I am requesting to add introductions of the city staff who are present under presentations. And then followed by the presentation from the transit director. And again, this is because I have not been notified of who is who in the exact role that they are playing in this meeting or outside of for the last 2 weeks while I've been emailing everybody. Other than that, that is the only change to the agenda. If there are no other changes, may we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Move to approve the agenda as amended. This is Aurora Black.
Do
Does
we have
someone like
a-
to second that?
Okay. And that would be,
This is Eli. I second that.
Thank you.
thank you.
All in favor?
We need to do roll call votes. So
Okay.
may we have a roll call vote, please?
Aurora Black,
Yes.
Kathleen Gish,
Yes.
Pam Parfit,
Yes.
Angelique Montoya Chavez,
Yes,
Eli Fresquez.
Yes.
Thank you. Next is approval of the minutes from October 20th, 2022. And I do have a request to add the transcript, which I typed up, 29 pages. I digitally transcribed it and then edited it for accuracy. It is not 100% accurate. There are names that are probably misspelled, but for the most part, it is accurate. The only thing it didn't catch was titles and names accurately. So like Title II was lowercase title and then TO instead of the II for Title II ADA, and things like that. But I did try to catch all of those. And then in addition to the minutes being added, the addendum for the transcript, I am requesting that 2 notes be added in regard to the transcript. One is that on page, I don't have the page, but Christy, where Eli had been discussing Christy Brusso, her name was not fully mentioned. And so Christy in the transcript refers to CHRISTY, which is how it's misspelled, is refers to KRISTY BRUSSO. And if that could be noted. And then in our discussion of the Secretary of State, the actual person that we had met with, I had messed up the titles. So the actual person that we had met with was the county clerk, Catherine E. Clark. And if that could be noted, that where I say Secretary of State, I actually meant county clerk. And that is my only notes that I am requesting to be added to our minutes with the addendum attached for the transcript. And if there are no other changes to the minutes, again, the minutes were incomplete that I received, and I was initially told by you, Regina, that there were no minutes. So I do have some questions later on about that process and what occurred. And so if there are no any additional amendments, may I have a motion to approve the minutes with the addendum of the transcript and the notes as amended?
Motion to approve.
I second that motion. This is Eli.
And I believe we do have to have a roll call vote to approve those.
Aurora Black,
Yes.
Kathleen Gish,
Yes.
Pam Parfit,
Yes.
Angelique Montoya Chavez,
Yes.
Jose Eli Fresquez.
Yes, and you can call me Eli.
Oh, Eli, okay. Motion is approved.
Thank you. Next, we have public comments. Were there any public comments on the website or presently with any attendees?
Okay, let me check that real quick. And I apologize, I'm new to this.
Yeah, I'm not in any way frustrated with you. I want to voice that. I have appreciated, I know you took extra time to learn all of this in the last 2 weeks. My frustration is elsewhere.
Hey, let's see. Yesterday afternoon, we did go in and check. We didn't
Okay.
see any public comments. I'm not sure how to select committee.
While you're looking at that, we could ask if any of the public in the room would like to make public comment right now on items not on the agenda for action. And if you'd like to do that, you could raise your hand. Raise your virtual hand or your real hand. Are you still checking, Helona, for written comment?
Yes, I'm not sure where to go.
You checked yesterday with Jeff and there weren't any.
I did, and I wrote down some notes, but it's a lot. I apologize.
We could text Jeff, I suppose, if we need to, or call him.
I'm not sure if he's available.
Hey Siri, call Jeff Norris.
So, Regina, is there any way that you could assist with this process, Regina?
No, I have no idea. She's working in the back end of PrimeGov and it's really complex and she's been getting training all week. I don't work in the back end.
This is Angelique. I just need to step away for 1 second to take care of my little boy, and I'll be right back.
That's fine. Thank you, Angelique.
Okay, I think I found it. Public comments.
I have a comment. This is Robin. With
Oh,
disability.
let's see. Thank you so much. I just want to verify we are recording. Is that correct, Tomas?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great, you guys. Thank you so much. And Chair, giving the floor back to you. Excuse me.
No comments from the public.
Thank you, Helena.
Mhm.
Robin, go ahead.
I had to step out for just a moment and maybe I missed introductions. My name is Robin Garrison. I'm with Disability Rights New Mexico, and I'm here because I had been contacted by both community members and the MCD on some accessibility issues. And I just want to thank everyone for kind of working on some of these like really easy to fix problems that we see. And Regina, you and I have emailed back and forth on some of this, so thank you for that. I think that a lot of the problems that I've seen and just the little bit of research I've done with accessibility and some issues with meetings, I think they are easy fixes, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that gets resolved. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Robin. Jesse Armijo, would you give a very brief introduction of who you are, since you are a person with the state of New Mexico? Go ahead.
Absolutely. Jesse Armijo, here with the Governor's Commission on Disability. And yeah, just to echo what Robin just said, here to learn more and kind of see how better we can assist with some of these accessibility issues for website. But yeah, just here to learn and listen.
Thank you, Jesse. If there are no more comments from the public, next was presentations, and we are going into presentations or introductions, sorry, from city staff. And I would appreciate you explaining your role here with this meeting in particular.
Thank you so much. I'll start. I'm Regina Wheeler. I'm the Public Works Director for the City of Santa Fe. The ADA coordinator position is in one of the divisions that reports to me. And due to a vacancy in the ADA coordinator position, the ADA coordinator position's boss and the ADA coordinator's position's boss's boss, I'm your acting ADA coordinator. I think it's a really fortuitous thing that I get to directly support this group right now as we sort of reformulate some fundamental pieces about how the ADA coordinator position functions inside the city of Santa Fe. We'll be talking more about that. So again, Regina Wheeler, Public Works Director, acting ADA coordinator as much as I can. I'm also the acting division director and the acting supervisor in the division, as well as I'm also the acting division director in parking right now, and also supporting transit that's also missing a division director. So we are, so that's who I am. Thank you. Helena, do you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Helena Crow. I'm the Business Operations Manager for Public Works, and I have been asked to take over as the liaison for this committee.
Good morning, folks. I'm Tomas Martinez. I'm the Division Director for the Transit Division for the City of Santa Fe. And I'm also Interim Director for Streets Division.
Good morning, I'm Flora Montoya. I'm the Training Administrator for the Transit Division. Also, I do work with the Streets Department as well. I've been with the transit for 15 years, worked with paratransit, so you guys have any questions.
And hi, Flora. I remember you.
Yes, how are you?
It's going. Okay, thank you all for that. And then the next one is the presentation from Transit Director Thomas Martinez. And I do have some slight focus to think about in regard to how public transportation is working now with the changes that have happened under COVID. There's been a lot of changes that have been going around that have been kind of unclear. And I also don't feel that it's really clearly described on the website so much from what I've seen. And so I feel like I would like to know more about how I would actually get a ride through public transportation currently, whether it be paratransit or a bus. So if you could explain at least some of that, that would be helpful. And I
will
think,
be covering that.
yeah, okay. And then I think if we could keep this to like a half hour at most, that would be really helpful.
Okay. And I do agree with you on the website. We are actually working on some updates on the website to make it more clear.
Thank you.
Let me find my presentation here. Can everyone see my screen?
No,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just giving you a brief overview. Please feel free to ask questions. So all of our Santa Fe buses are low floor buses, then they're all wheelchair friendly. So that's all our buses on fixed route. We also provide IDs for ADA people or seniors that are 60 years plus of age, and that allows you to ride the bus for half fares. And then we also provide free fare for veterans and students. So that's something that we run into quite a bit with ADA people, that they don't realize that they're a veteran. So when you come, you can apply for ADA, but also let us know you're a veteran, so you get the card that lets you ride for free, period. We also provide Rail Runner and NCRTD passengers with connecting bus service. So if you use Rail Runner or NCRTD to come in from anywhere out the city and you show us the ticket that they give you, then you ride our bus for free for that day. And then currently we are providing on-demand bus service. This is partly due to being very short-staffed, and also this is some of our lower routes that weren't carrying that many people. And those routes are the 5, 6, M, the 21 and 22. Those are 7 days a week. And we also offer the 24 and the 26 on weekends. That was to help people be able to get to like Christa St. Vincent's on Sundays. We didn't have service on Sundays that could get people there. So we did some tweaking to allow people that ability. And how the on-demand service works is it will take you to any bus stop that's on one of those routes. So to request an on-demand, you need to be at the bus stop. You call our 2001 phone number, which it looks like I didn't put it on there. And you request the pickup. At the time you request the pickup, they're going to ask you some simple questions like, what are you wearing, where exactly you're at, and where are you going exactly? And then at that point, they will dispatch a bus in line with the other requests that we have. So we try to make it a one-way trip the best we can, but sometimes you may wait 20-25 minutes in our peak times. But that will get better as we get more drivers. And this will take you to any bus located on the on-demand. If you're going from an on-demand route to like a number 2, then we will take you to the nearest hub station, which will either be downtown transit or the mall. And then you can go on the other route from there. Our ADA program Let me see if I can move this over so I
Why
can
don't you,
actually see.
go to the top, or it says, from current, that should open it up wider. There you go, maybe, let me try and move that over to the left. There you go,
All right,
and then exit that, there. There you go.
so applications for this program need to be partially completed by a healthcare provider and cannot be completed over the phone. Now, we run into issues with this sometimes where people write on that section. That section absolutely has to be for physicians only, and it has to be filled out by the physician.
Cannot be altered.
Yeah, it can't be altered in any way. The applications can be obtained. You can download them from the city website. You can call us and we'll email them to you directly, or we will mail you a paper copy directly by your request. And then for us to receive them, you can mail them or fax them back to us. Once the application is completed and received, we will schedule you a ride to come down here free to do the interview and a ride back home or to wherever you were going. There are instances during COVID, we were doing it by the phone, but we are actually required to do it in person if possible. So there are special instances where we will do it by phone, but there are special instances. And then the cost for the program, if you're ADA, it's $2 per trip. If you're a veteran, you ride for free. And then there's also, I talked a little bit about service animals. Service animals, I haven't had any real issues on ADA, so we've been pretty good about everybody understanding what a service animal is. So our Santa Fe ride, paratransit, we're the leading transportation provider in the city of Santa Fe's ADA for people, for ADA and people 60 plus of citizens of Santa Fe, and we place priority on a timely and customer service oriented trips. The Santa Fe Paratransit Service provides a variety of trip planning options. We have scheduled trips. You can schedule a ride as far as 2 weeks in advance with our curb to curb service to a location within the city limits. A subscription trip, you can enroll in a reoccurring transportation for repeat appointments or events to the same pickup and drop off location. Now, it's important to understand that subscription trips, we can only do about 30% of our trips as subscriptions. So there may be times where somebody may want one, but we can't offer one at that time. But if we can't offer one at that time, they can do an on-demand request where they can request it the day before or the day of, and we'll fit it into our schedule. And then in order to be eligible for this, you must be enrolled in our system. And then, of course, the pay rates depend on eligibility, which ADA is one, and we also offer for seniors. So we partner with 20 different, my screen is not letting me see the top. We partner with 20 different nonprofit entities such as LifeLink, Interfaith, Christa St. Vincent Presbyterian Hospital, and several others. We provide them bus passes at a discount, and they issue them to disadvantaged people. So that's one of the major things we do. We also provide on our fixed route and our ADA transportation to the 5 cities, the main 5 city sponsored events, which is Folk Art, Spanish Market, Indian Market, Zozobra, and Farolito. Those are free fare events where you can schedule a ride. A lot of ADA people don't realize that they can actually schedule a ride with Santa Fe Ride to go to those events. And then we also partner with Chain Breakers, Broken Spoke, and Bob and Charlie's, where disadvantaged people can volunteer a set amount of hours to earn up to an annual bus pass. They can do 30-day, annual, just depending on the hours they put. We also provide Midtown residents with a COVID-safe transportation to doctor's appointments and prescription pickups. That's the end of my presentation. I'm open for questions. That's why I have Flora here with me. She's my resident expert, so.
Laura's wonderful. I can say that from experience. So one of my questions was about the bus passes that you give to LifeLink and those agencies that are discounted. If a person was a person with disabilities who needed paratransit and didn't have money for a paratransit booklet, would that also be available, or could that be made available at a discount rate for someone who is in those same programs who cannot use a fixed route system, fixed route public bus?
You know, that has actually never come up because the volunteering typically is them building a bicycle. But yeah, I think we could figure out a way to make that work.
Because I think of just real quick, I think of like, I know that with bus passes being available through LifeLink, through Presbyterian, Christus, different places, you know, one of my issues in the past was the cost of paratransit, you know, having to go to school every day, which I'm sure you remember, Flora.
Yes.
And you know, not having any sort of a discount rate for that, and having to find the money to be able to afford to go to school, which luckily for me, because of what I was doing at school, I did qualify for a scholarship that helped me to afford those costs. But I think of people who are trying to get services, or people who are trying to access care in the community, needing to use paratransit and maybe not having the money to cover the full paratransit cost to afford that care, and not yet being connected to other agencies that would provide those resources. And so I think of that interim in between, and caring about those people who are just starting to connect with agencies who aren't yet established. And if that, I mean, like you said, that's never come up, but go ahead, Flora.
Open Hands does have a program for people with disabilities. There's an application that they can fill out and submit it to them, and they will help with transportation. They also will help with some medications depending on their disability. Also, the Housing Trust, if you submit a list of trips to them, they will, trips that they have taken, which comes from our office, they would issue them a check to purchase a Santa Fe Ride coupon. So those are a couple of options that we've used in the past, and we're still continuing to do those today.
Right. And also one other additional place that I did, although the bureaucracy to get through that process with the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation for them to cover my transportation costs was shocking. It was actually took 18 months for me to be established. They were supposed to do it within 90 days, but that's a long story. But yeah, that's another place that people can, if they can establish for services, which it takes potentially a really long time. And I see a chat. I don't know if I can access it. Yeah, Gina Maria. Yeah. So Gina Maria messaged me directly saying that people would turn to the ADA coordinator, or could turn to the ADA coordinator of the city of Santa Fe for this kind of information as well. So yeah, that is correct. Once we get one established. And then my other questions for either Flora or Tomas was the, if I can remember, my question about how I would get a ride right now. What does that look like? What are the steps and process that I would need if I needed an on-demand fixed route bus, and what would my day look like if I were participating in that.
Well, that would be where you would need to be at the bus stop at one of the on-demand bus stops and then call in and request the ride. And then once you request the ride, they'll ask you where you're at, what you're wearing, what direction you're going, and to what other stop you're going to.
I know.
And they would schedule it. And it's the same phone number that it's always been, the 955-2001.
They would also ask for your phone number just in case the bus does arrive and they don't see you there. The dispatcher will give you a call just to try to make that connection before the bus driver leaves.
So then it would require that someone have a cell phone on them that works, that hasn't died. Yeah. Is there any way that if someone didn't have a cell phone or their cell phone died, that they could maybe call ahead and tell them that they would be there at a certain time? Or is that not in place?
We've made a couple exceptions if we
Yeah.
have the availability to do that, but it's very rare.
We tend not to do it unless it's riders that we know are taking the same run. One of the things we do with the on-demands, if you're going to school and you're there every day, you can essentially set up a prescription trip with them for that. So that alleviates you from having to make the phone call. Like we have quite a few students that we pick up in the mornings. We have some people that go work over by PERA that we pick up every day. So we kind of have some groups, but we were allowing that when we first started the on-demand and people were setting up rides and then not showing up. So then that was taken away from other people that need the ride. So we kind of stopped doing it.
I think that that's the majority of my question. Oh, the other question I had, do you know, and you may not know, and that's fine. On the website where it describes, where it has the images regarding service animals on buses and paratransit, it's images. And I actually meant to ask you this, Eli, to check it with what you have. But do you know if that is a transcribed image for screen readers? If there's alt text attached to that image?
The one that I put on this one was just an image, but I
Right.
think
I'm talking about the city website, and to
Yeah.
clarify, sorry, yeah.
I would have to double check. I don't want to lie. But I think it was transcribed, but I know that was one of the discussions that we just had about the website. Is that a lot of stuff was images and it can't be picked up. So that is something that we are working on, eliminating pictures of stuff and actually putting actual text. And that's gonna be throughout the entire city.
Okay. And then, and I can get back to you on that directly. I'll get in touch with you when we figure that out, because I haven't had a chance to check on my computer, and I meant to ask Eli. And then the other thing was, there were things that I noticed, which I can get with you on this when I organize it better. I just put everything together as quickly as I was able to. In the packet, I included all of the forms, the web pages, everything that's on there currently, just for review. But I noticed that there were some things that were unclear. And I don't have those listed because I was working on the rest of it. But I was thinking, since we've made this connection, that I can email you directly with the things that are unclear, and we can do a follow-up to this meeting and see if we can get those resolved. It was just questions on the application form, things like that. Go ahead, Eli.
We've been talking about that a lot at Transit. One of the biggest issues that I run into in any type of business is when we're creating stuff, we're creating it from what we know.
Right.
And we forget that the public doesn't. So even in my slides, I was getting my admins to come up and look at them to make sure they understood it, because they don't know bus lingo. So, and we are trying to work on forms and stuff like that.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much. Because those forms can get, you have a question that no one understands and it's like you get 4 different answers from 4 different people. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
we're
Eli.
working on clarifying
Yeah.
all that stuff and making it really, really as simple as possible.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate.
feel free to reach out to me at any time.
Okay, thank you so much. Eli, go
I-
ahead.
I used to
Yeah.
attend your guys' meetings back in the days. It would be either me or Keith will go at least 2 times a year. But anytime you want to request, just send an email and I'll do my best to adjust my schedule to be able to pop in and answer some questions.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. So I just took a look at the website and the service animal information, there certainly can be some improvements on the alt text associated with that. A lot of times images are decorative and don't really require alternate text, but in this case, because they are informational and it's specific to a community that would likely be using screen readers, I recommend that you take a look at that. And putting out alt text is kind of there's a lot of information about how to best practices. It's kind of a craft, but certainly some more information on that would be helpful.
Yep.
Yeah, and Eli, we can look at that in future meetings as well of have discussions of what it should say and clarify it to be accurate and clear and usable to the public. So thank you. I think I'm going to move on. I think Tomas Flora, thank you so much. It's good to see you. Been a while.
Yes, it has. It's good to see you too.
You guys have a wonderful day and all of you guys feel free to reach out to me. at
I
any
just
Thank you so much.
You have a good day.
I know Aurora does all the time.
Excuse me, this is Angelique.
Yeah.
What I did want to say is from personal experience with 2 children with disabilities is we have taken the buses several times for field trips, for different things around the city, and the bus drivers have been wonderful. They have treated our kids with such respect and such dignity. And I really appreciate that, not only as a parent, but as a participant on this committee, so I wanted to say thank you.
Well, thank you very much. We do our best to try to train everybody our goal is to just treat everybody the same. That way nobody feels different. We want everybody to be, this is your service also.
Great, thank you.
And Eli, do you have more to say or is your hand raised from the last comment?
No, it's from the last comment.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Pardon
Thank
me,
you.
Madam Chair, just to check, Tomas, you're not still host, right? Did you give that back to
I
Hello?
already gave it back to Hello.
Okay, okay, great. Thank you so much.
You have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, so the next item is the Mayor's Committee on Disability meeting calendar for 2023. Amazingly enough, with all of our different calendars, there wasn't one 2-hour window that we could all meet that was synchronized. The only day that everyone could meet was on Wednesdays, but it varied between 10 to noon all the way to 5:30 to 7:30. And so we do need to have this discussion. I think most of us are here. Miriam could not be here. I also don't see the person who was trying to join our committee, but he did tell me when he couldn't meet. And so one of the things I was wondering, and I don't know the answer to this, is if we could create a tentative schedule and try out a new time in relation to the best time that was available that would be the most likely to be able to have the most members. And I also didn't, because it's on Wednesdays, I also didn't want to conflict with city council meetings because our governing body meetings, because I feel like those are important to be able to attend if you want to, without having to not attend our meeting. And so, and Eli, you had stated you prefer during work hours. Kendra can meet from 10 to noon. I did not get to ask her. I have not been in touch with her, if after work hours would be okay. Aurora, you had stated that you are busy during work hours. But you can meet afterwards. So that's what is happening right now.
So am I the only one who can't do 10 to 12?
Mornings are really hard for me right now. And that was my issue, is that the amount of juggling everything that I'm doing in the mornings is pretty real. So I was hoping it could be in the afternoon so that I wouldn't have to keep doing that.
How many do we have? 3 to 5? Maybe I could do 3 to 5.
We had everybody, let me see my schedule. Everyone, as far as I could remember, could meet. I typed this up. Everyone, as far as I remember, could meet from, let's see. I could meet from 1 to 8. Pam could meet from 3. Pam, you said late afternoon and evenings were
Could
good.
make that work.
From 3 to 5?
I might could too.
I can make it work.
3 to
The city council meetings are sometimes really important for me.
Right, yeah, no, I was thinking of making it the first Wednesday of the month because I don't know. Regina, do you know if the city council meetings are continuing on the second Wednesday and fourth Wednesday roughly?
I will check. They adopted the calendar, so I can take a look.
Okay, yeah, because I couldn't have access to that. I tried to find the 2023 calendar and I didn't see, so if you could look that up, that would be great. Because 3 to 5 I could make work. Eli,
3 to 5 would work for me.
okay. So the only person then that might not be able to is Kendra, and I need to get with her since she can't be here today. But I would say let's tentatively do that. And we will make happen what needs to happen. I mean, obviously Kendra being my vice chair, it's important that she be able to attend if I can't. But I will check with her, and I think for now we could set that. And if there is a real problem with her being able to attend at that time, we can come back to this and revisit it. But for now, does the first Wednesday of the month work?
It would, but it seems so soon.
So I wouldn't be holding a meeting in January because there's no way to do it during the holidays. The next meeting would be, I think it was February 1st. And that gives everyone time to get oriented. And so it basically is 4 weeks, functional weeks because of the holidays. If that makes sense.
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
Wednesday in January just seems overwhelming anyway. So.
Let's see, Chair, I'm looking at the calendar for the governing body and it actually varies quite a bit. It looks like.
Are there any that are the first Wednesday of the month?
They don't have it on a calendar form yet. So I can just give you a couple of dates, for example. January 11th is the first meeting, so that's definitely not on the first one. February 8th is the third meeting. I don't know if that's the first, that probably
No,
is the
that's
first
the
Monday.
second. Yeah.
Yep, March 8th,
Second,
April 12th,
second.
May 10th. Yep, it seems like it's pretty consistent. I don't
Yeah,
see
okay.
anything before an 8th.
Okay, cool. So Wednesday, the first Wednesday of every month from 3 to 5. And then our next meeting then would be February 1st. Let me get this. Let me see my calendar. So it'd be February 1st. It looks like March 1st. April 5th. May 3rd, June 7th, July 5th, August 2nd, September 6th, October 4th, November 1st, and December 6th would be the 2023 schedule.
And 3 to 5 PM for the time.
3 to 5.
So do we need a motion?
Yeah,
Madam-
we need to approve this, yeah.
Madam
Okay.
Chair, I have a comment when you're ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much, and members of the committee. While I'm acting as ADA coordinator, it's really difficult to support a monthly meeting, and I also think progress wouldn't be as impressive as it could be. And so I've asked the chair for consideration and plan to meet every other month until we do have an ADA coordinator. And that way I'll be able to produce some results for you on action items, as well as be able to support the meeting better. And so what the chair had suggested, and I think it sounds like a great option, is that we'll just cancel every other meeting until we have an ADA coordinator, because it's posted right now and conceivably we could have one in a few months. And so we don't need to set up the annual calendar as if we aren't going to have one, but we'll just adjust as we move forward.
I would say that it would be very difficult for us to cancel the March meeting because we try and get our priority lists done in advance of the final financial stuff. So we need to work on that in February and probably in March, I'm thinking, to go final with it in March.
Thank you, Madam Chair, if you don't mind. Are you talking about Aurora budget input to the budget?
Yes.
The
We
budget's
make a
happening-
priority list and we give it to everybody, and we're hoping they include those needs in their budgets. So yes.
The budget will be done by then. We're
Oh.
doing the budget right now.
Oh, okay.
So but that's a really nice idea to coordinate some priorities
So-
with the budget process.
So when is it published that the budget will be being worked on? Because normally it would be in April. Last year it was April, March or April when it was passed. So why is it being worked on now?
Yes, that's exactly right, Madam Chair. It goes to the Finance Committee completed already after departments give input, where our budgets are due to Finance. What was the date? Hold on, we just got it the other day. Early January. And then we'll have meetings with Finance and the mayor over the next month or so after that. And then we have to put together the book. And then that has to be ready for March and April hearings at Finance, and then adopted by the governing body at the end of April. So there's a lot of lead time on that.
So
So then-
when would you need our priority list to incorporate those ideas in your budget?
Now, and I have your priority list from last year. It's not really a priority list, though. It's really a humongous list of everything in the world. So maybe what we could do is by February 1st, have you guys really get your top 3 on that list or something like that, so that we could actually, because I think that would be plenty of time to bake it in.
I would ask that it be at least one priority from each subcommittee. So it might be more than 3. It would be each subcommittee presenting their top priority or top priorities, top 2 to the city. Because that way it will be fair representation from the committee, and it will also address several of the city's issues.
Thank you so much. Happy to take any input you'd like. We have gotten direction that there will be no increases in budget whatsoever this year. So, we'll definitely be working towards incorporating whatever input that you provide. But it would, really a prioritization is really helpful in making sure that your top priority as a group can be addressed. And but certainly a longer list is always helpful as well.
And so one question that I have regarding monthly meetings, because I do actually feel that it's important with what's going on in the city right now to have monthly meetings, at least as a check-in. and to be able to communicate if something is going on in the interim. And one of the things that I was explaining to you before, and I said to you in October, and I also shared with Lee before he resigned, and I share with you, Alona, is that I am more than happy to help with the minutes. If you send me a drafty draft, I am more than happy to fill them in, or I am happy to help in the interim until we have an ADA coordinator. I've stated that, and I am honestly happy to help with that. I was a stenographer at SFCC. I was appointed secretary. I did the work, and I understand minutes, and I understand what's important in these meetings to be documented and stated, and I am happy to help. And I know that that's a large portion of the time that it takes to run these meetings to make minutes. And so
thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, we'll have a full transcript from Zoom this time. So we'll have a verbatim transcript to work with. And thank you so much for your offer to assist in modifying that in any way.
Yeah. And yeah, and I will be happy to help with that. But I am going to request that we meet monthly because of the issues and concerns and the severity of the concerns ongoing. And so may we have a roll call vote to approve the meeting calendar, 2023 meeting calendar and meeting monthly in 2023.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do we have a motion to approve the monthly meeting calendar for 2023 beginning February 1st on the first Wednesday of each month from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m.?
This is Eli. I motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
This is Angelique. I'll second that.
May we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Member Black,
Aurora, you're on mute.
Yes.
Chair Gish,
Yes.
Member Parfit,
Yes.
Member Montoya Chavez,
Yes.
and Member Fresquez.
Yes.
This motion is approved.
Thank you. Next is discussion, Next is discussion items and a continued discussion of ADA compliance in the city of Santa Fe. I included this item just as a general overview. We have more in-depth items that include the job description, appropriate placement of the ADA coordinator, the city website, the request for cart services, and the appointment of the new member. But outside of that, there are, of course, numerous concerns happening and continuing. One second. So in the last meeting, that is in the transcript, I had read a extensive list that is my short list, but it was still 13 items that are in non-compliance with ADA. These include that the grievance process is not valid currently. The city clerk is not complying with the process and request for accessible format documents or CART. The transition plan has not been updated. And I have some questions for you, Regina, on that. There is currently ice all around downtown again, which I have photos of. I don't have them ready to share, or I would, but they will be shared with everyone in the city as soon as I get a chance to compile those. They would have been ready, but I was dealing with trying to get documents up on PrimeGov that are required for this meeting. And I took those on Tuesday, and since then I've just been busy preparing for this meeting. but there is ice covering several crosswalks and curb cuts around downtown. And the website has still not been updated properly. HR is still not providing accessible information on receiving accommodations when applying for jobs. I'm sure that the weed removal, unless city staff improves, will still be a problem once spring comes. And that the city is still not maintaining prior upgrades and curb cuts are crumbling, as has been shown in several news articles. That's my short list. So, and I want to say on record, Regina, that you did call me. You did not attend our last meeting. I had confirmed with you the day before that you would be there and you were not there. You called me right after the meeting ended, saying that you were sorry that you did not attend and wanting to speak to me. I actually was like literally heading out the door. So I couldn't answer you. But when I got back to you, Eli and I met with you on October 21st by Zoom. And we spoke to you and told you the highest priority items that needed to be worked on. And you had stated to us that one was that there was no interim ADA coordinator. And you had stated to us that you were taking on those duties. And I would like an explanation of how that process occurred. Typically, it would be an ADA coordinator appointing an interim ADA coordinator to take over, and then that person being appointed by the city manager to formally be the interim ADA coordinator. But I'm assuming that did not happen in this case. So can you explain to me what process occurred for you to be the interim ADA coordinator?
Yes, certainly. Thank you so much, Chair. And I'd like to go over some of the items that you mentioned because I thought that we had addressed some of those. And so I guess I'd like to know what gaps continue.
And if it's about the website, cart, job description, and placement, can we wait till we get to those items in the agenda?
Sure. And I wasn't going to take it. I was going to wait for your lead, Chair. Grievance procedure was one, if it's not on the agenda. I thought that we had updated the form and updated the website. So maybe I was just going to try to check that, but I will check that really quickly. So I'd like to understand the gaps if I could. Yes, actually at the city of Santa Fe, how it would work is normally I would hire the ADA coordinator since it's in my department, and along with the Complete Streets Division Director, where the position actually rests, along with the engineering supervisor under whom the position is. And so it's not an appointment, it's an actual staff position. And so we use our normal HR processes. When there isn't when there's a vacancy, when we can have somebody acting, that someone has to qualify for the position. So meet all the qualifications of the position in order to actually have them be officially acting. There isn't anybody in Public Works at this time that is completely qualified to fulfill that as an acting. And so I've taken on the responsibilities of the position, and my name is on the grievance forms and on the website. Or we thought it might have, maybe it dropped when we transitioned to the brand new website. We can certainly get that fixed. And I have received grievances. I think in the whole time that Tom was there, they come through me after Tom looked at them. And so I've seen like 3 in the last few years. So I'd like to understand about how the process isn't valid so that we can fix that. So the mayor, and after your meeting with the mayor a number of times, and the city manager and the city manager's office, they asked me to, I have volunteered actually to take on the duties, and they have accepted my volunteer to take on the duties. As much as I can.
Yeah, and I will get to the website. It is on the agenda. So we will get there. I just wanted to better understand how you became the interim ADA coordinator, have that on record. Because typically, like I said in the past, what would happen is when the ADA coordinator resigned, they would appoint an interim ADA coordinator, which is how David Chapman had been appointed. And then it took several months for him. My understanding was it took several months. It was a while for him to be formally recognized by the city manager and actually appointed officially to the position, but he was already acting in the interim so that there would be no gaps. And that to me is a proper process, so that there is absolutely no gaps. It needs to be handed off person to person, and then formally recognized by the city, because it is a legal position. It is a federally required position. And so that did not occur this year. As you know, there was a 5-month gap between when Tom resigned and when you self-appointed as the ADA coordinator. And so that was an error, and we need to acknowledge that so that it doesn't happen again, and move forward. And so now that you are the interim ADA coordinator, we do have obligations that you are required to fulfill. And so we will get to those. But I just wanted to make a note that we did meet with you on October 21st. You did send us that list, me and Eli, that list that is in this packet of the items that you had listed that you would be working on. And so it includes the transition plan, it includes the website, updating your contact information, things like that. I do acknowledge that you have been working with us to update the job description, but there are some issues occurring with that. So we will get to that. And just so everyone knows, this is the email that Regina sent us. The list. It was on October 21st at 2:47 p.m. So next agenda item is 8B, continued discussion on updated ADA coordinator job description. And Regina, I sincerely do thank you for working with us. That, you know, I know that you are unfamiliar with ADA to the extent that we are, like, you know, it's new to you. And you've been incredibly open about updating the job description so that we do have an ADA coordinator in place that is providing what the city should have had this whole time, and that the ADA currently requires. You did listen to us, and I absolutely acknowledge that, and I thank you for that. And me and Eli have been working very hard to compile the most important aspects of an ADA coordinator job description and model, which is included in this packet. What I didn't get to include in the packet is what is currently posted on the job employment portal for the city of Santa Fe. And so I will cover that now. I may screen share if I feel I need to. But the history, let's see. We provided you the model ADA coordinator job description, and then you had edited it. This was in November. You had edited it in early December, sent it to us. I have, I don't have the date of that. You had sent us version 2, and Eli and I had gotten together and realized that there were several omissions that I don't think were on purpose. I think that it was from not being trained in an ADA coordinator certificate or ADA background. It's not your fault. It's not a failing of yours in any way. I think you did a great job of summarizing our model. And Eli even voiced that it's a good draft. But Eli had clarified it and sent you what we consider a final draft, re-adding the things that had been omitted that are actually pretty important. Things like acknowledging that ADA is a civil right, requesting that disability justice awareness be incorporated. That ADA does now require website compliance. That was all omitted. Again, it's not your fault. It's, you know, you did what you knew. So I have that Eli sent you the final draft on December 3rd. I don't know if you ever acknowledged that draft that he sent. And then I had emailed you asking to be assured that the job description was with the city HR identified as a critical hire, which you're saying that it has been, and that it will be expedited when you do find a candidate who meets the qualifications. The other thing was that you had said that you plan to post it for 30 days. I know I initially had asked you to post it for 90 days until filled, which I have seen happening nationally. A lot of cities are doing that because it does take time to find a good person. And so they just keep it posted until someone is actually accepted to the position. Because that way you get a continual flow of potential candidates, and there is no gap that can lead to an extension of a lack of an ADA coordinator for an unreasonable amount of time, and also just delaying the process unnecessarily. But I noticed that the current job description that is posted, I haven't yet asked Bernadette about this, but it's posted December 12th to the 30th, which is 18 days, not 30. And that it is your version, which we consider to be incomplete. Again, no fault of yours. But I was assuming that Eli's version would be posted, the one that we had edited, that Eli edited our important parts back into the draft. And so, Eli, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to echo, I really want to thank City of Santa Fe and Regina in particular for taking our model that we worked quite a bit on, and really getting, I think that most of it, the really important stuff in there. I don't know if there's an opportunity now to make any kind of edits, particularly on the website, making sure that that is part of the job description. And then there's a few other things that we had recommended. But overall, it went from, maybe something that was a bit antiquated, a bit old, into something that I actually think is probably one of the most progressive job descriptions for ADA coordinator in the country. I honestly believe that what we have now, I think some little minor tweaks, if the city's open to it, that would make it that much better. But I understand that they, they're running their shop, and oftentimes when you hire somebody, the job description doesn't lay out everything they do, right? So there's always a little bit of flexibility there. On my end, I really want to support the city, so I'm going to reach out to as many folks that I know in the disability community to spread the word and do some recruiting. One of the outcomes of COVID, outside of the tragedy and the shifting of society for the last almost 3 years now, is it required the disability community to really make connections that it may not have otherwise. So we had a very robust COVID-19 disability coalition that was set up by the Department of Health. So we have a number of contacts, and I'm going to go ahead and share the job description with all our contacts and see if we can get a real great champion. I know what it's like hiring right now in this current environment and the current market. It's very, very hard. So one of the things that I encourage everyone, as much as they can, is to have some flexibility in hiring. So looking at somebody, not just based on what comes out in their resume, but looking at their experience in life. And so much about disability is being part of the disability community, having family members who are disabled, or yourself being disabled. I think that's really crucial for this role, and making sure that people have that experience to share. And they may not necessarily have that black and white qualifications on paper, but have that little bit of flexibility. And that's kind of been a best practice for disability employment in general, because many people with disabilities don't have the same opportunities as the able-bodied community do to kind of build their resume and have those things that neatly fit in the HR's department four corners. So I would just encourage to be a bit flexible in thinking about the holistic approach to somebody who's applying to this position, particularly if they themselves have experience working with the disability community or they themselves are disabled.
Thank you, Eli. And so one of the things that I was going to ask is to Regina. I don't know the process that you have to go through to approve a job description. You had stated that there was some approval process that needed to go in place, but I'm not clear on any of that. You know, I haven't reached out to Bernadette in HR to ask those details. But I do ask if it's at all possible that when the job description is reposted, which I am honestly hoping is ASAP in January, that because the current one expires December 30th, and there will again be a potential gap if it is not posted right away. I'll get to you in a minute, Robin, okay. That it be posted for at least the 30 days that you did state to me. I don't know that, I'm not going to put fingers at you. I'm not saying you did that. I'm not in any way blaming anybody. I'm just saying this is what has happened. And then I'm going to ask that Eli's draft of the job description be the one that be posted next time. And if there's a reason why it can't be, I would like to know that. If we can have a discussion on that right now. But Robin, go ahead. You're on mute.
I always forget that. I was just wondering why there would be a limit on how long that's posted. I mean, aren't most job descriptions up until the position is filled?
No, that's not at all the way the city does it. We normally only post for 2 weeks or a month, and you have to wait until the end of the posting period to get the resumes. And so I was really anxious to see if we could get some candidates with this great new job description. It's completely different. I don't know how many of you have looked at it, but it's the city has not only adopted almost 100% of the model that Eli and Chair sent, but also has completely changed the expectation of the breadth of the role. So up until we just made this complete rehaul of the position and the job description that has happened since the October meeting, which is huge. It now has responsibility across the organization. It has responsibility for website. The old job that Tom Graham was in only did two things. All it did was answer grievances and review plans for capital projects. That was and run this meeting. And now it has a very broad responsibility to assist. So this is a complete transformation for the city. Huge responsiveness to this committee's request. And no, we don't post positions until filled. That's extremely rare. That's not the regular process. And normally we don't get any resumes until the position's not posted, right, until it closes. So we can certainly post it for the 30 days as you wish for the next time, no problem.
Well, and I just want to thank you, Regina, because I know when you and I first spoke, I guess back in early October, I don't remember when that was, but you had told me that position description posting wasn't going to be changed until after someone was hired. So I'm really glad to see that this was done. I do think it needed doing. times have changed, and I think it's important to keep up with it. So kudos to you guys for getting this done.
It was
Yeah, thank you so
definitely a
much.
team effort.
It was huge, and I totally get it. I'm not unfamiliar with ADA as a public works director. Every single project we do, I'm responsible for the transition plans. I know exactly what they are. I'm responsible for all the curb cut projects and all the capital projects. I'm very familiar with accessibility online. I don't know the technical details, but I'm clear. So it's not a completely unfamiliar area. And when I started interviewing for the position, when we first became vacant, it became clear to me that what we had in the job description wasn't really what we needed as a city and what the community needed to be supported. So, and the mayor certainly was extremely supportive as well of the change. There is a very formal process for making job description changes. I felt like we had really captured, I used 99% of the words that were provided in the model. And I think 100% isn't really a realistic expectation. I could certainly take a look again, and we can certainly do the formal process of a job description change. It is a very formal process. We have to submit the changes to the change request form, red lines. It gets reviewed. It gets run through the compensation model. And that's another thing that happened with the new job description. It was the position was upgraded 4 ranges. And that was something that I know that you guys were really interested in. So I would just really implore you that while there may be some rocky points and it doesn't look exactly the way you want to, we are making changes here to support this committee's mission in a way that hasn't been made in a decade. So, and that is one of the benefits of having me as the interim coordinator. So there's pros and there's cons, but I'll continue to really work on sort of the structural stuff that's easier to make happen from my level. That I can definitely help with that, and I think we can make some good progress on really important things in the next few months.
Yeah, in response to the pay rate, it went from 19.54 to 29.31 per hour to 23.75 to 35.63 per hour. So it was a significant increase. And Regina, do you know if that will be, again, you had stated prior that it was going to be paid at the highest rate. Will it be that again, or is it going to be?
No, what I was saying, Madam Chair, thank you for that question, was that the budget as it sat with the old range was the top of the range.
Right.
And so the budget remains the same, and now that's more closer to the mid-range.
Okay, so it will still be the 29. Whatever I said.
Maybe Helona can look it up for us right now.
29.31 per hour, but with the possibility of going to 35, right?
Budget is very difficult to change, but I think $30 an hour is Helona can verify whether it is in the budget right now. In a minute, I'm not sure. It might take just a minute. I was going to tell you what it was, but I looked at our, we have a position listing that we get from HR, but I'm never sure if it's up to date.
It looks like it's at about 31.47 per hour.
Thank you so much, Helena. That's
Thank
the
you,
budget.
I also wanted to add with our monthly meeting with the HR director and her team, she did direct her staff to also advertise this position on the JAN network, which is the Job Accommodations Network. She did direct her staff to do that as well.
Thank you, Helena. That's an excellent update. Just making a note of that. And then, but yeah, Regina, there are some things I think that it is important to understand and describe that it is a civil right in the job description and things like that. So we will get with you on that about any words that should be in there that aren't, that really do change the job description. And I'm also thinking at some point soon to invite the director of HR to discuss the issues that we have with the website and the accessibility issues of applying for jobs, because that will also be a barrier. So if I will email you on that to request her presence to discuss our issues. Regina, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Yeah, that is a topic that I am actively already working with city manager and the HR director. That portal is so bad. It's not just a barrier, it's a barrier for anybody, able-bodied, challenged. It's just awful. And so we're aware of that. Like, I had to back and forth really encourage this really great candidate for another position to just really get through that process, and you have to go through it every time you apply. It's not like it holds your data. It's just awful. And I have made that clear to the city manager, the mayor, and the HR director that it's a huge barrier for us for hiring good candidates. So they are aware. The other horrible thing about it is if you post a link to one of our openings, like on your LinkedIn, like I do, it looks like malware. It actually looks like a little malware link, and you would never click on it. So there's just a million problems. And so one of the things that mayor has asked me to do right now, and I'm working on, is making a relationship with a recruiting company. And I think a couple of things that I'm wanting them to do is actually host some postings for us, right? So we can go through their website instead of ours for critical ones. And I'm talking to, as you can imagine, recruiters are completely swamped right now and actually don't respond very well, but I've got a new contact that I'm really hopeful about. So we are working on that issue, and we're completely clear it is that portal's a mess.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I did myself go through that portal, go through the process, and everything kept erasing when I hit next. I would go back and half of my information was gone. And that was with saving. That even when saving, it didn't save it. It saved half of it and not the other half. So yeah, it definitely needs to be addressed, and I appreciate the work that you are doing on that, because I'm sure that that's quite a process to update such an important portal for the city. But I think that it's key in order to fill positions in the city that are actually leading to a lot of these ADA violations and ADA concerns, because there isn't the staff needed to address them. And so, and that's been discussed multiple times whenever we say, why are there weeds? Why is there ice? Why is, it's all, well, we don't have the staff. Well, why, part of it is that portal and the challenges just to apply for a job. So I appreciate that very much. So the next item is a continued discussion for the appropriate city placement for ADA coordinator in the Mayor's Committee on Disability. And when we last, in the last meeting, we had discussed, and I wish that you had been there, we had discussed different placements for the city. And then on October 21st, you had mentioned to us about possibly being under the city clerks or constituent services. It was constituent services, which is now currently tied to city clerk. I was wondering if there are any updates on that. The mayor had mentioned to us directly about being placed under some kind of a equity and inclusion department that is not yet developed or in place, and but that is very much being discussed apparently, and is very needed. Also, we had asked the mayor directly if we could be under his office directly, which is actually becoming standard nationally for placing ADA, because it needs to be in one of the highest offices in order to relay the message that ADA is over the entire city, and also to have that level of enforcement. But the mayor stated to us that there was issues within the city structure and city council that would prevent that from happening right now. And so I was wondering if you have any updates on anything moving forward with us moving to a different department, which you have supported. And I also want to acknowledge that you said right away you supported us, and you acknowledged that ADA is more than curb cuts and sidewalks. And I really appreciated that. And it gave me hope that we had a chance to do all of this. So I just want to say that your awareness of that is very appreciated by me.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I do have an update on that. So it ends up that I did submit, so we've already been working on the budget process for about a month. The first thing that we do is we submit what we call proposals for significant changes that should be considered during budget. A change like this would have to occur at the budget time. So I did submit a proposal to move the ADA coordinator to the clerks and constituent services department. There's pros and cons to that. You won't have somebody like me over there who knows how to get a contract, who knows how to get recruiting, who knows everything about, I know everything about everything. I'm a very long time city employee and the public works director. I have 400 employees. So, but I did put in that proposal. The second challenge I think to that is that right now this position is funded out of an increment of GRT that gives us funds to support infrastructure. So I have a number of positions in public works that are funded out of that increment of GRT. That kind of money can't go to the constituent services office. It has to live in public works. So if there were to move that position to the constituent services, they'll actually have to find the funds in general fund, which is extremely challenging right now, given the GRT challenges that we're having with the recession coming. So the mayor's got all of that information. City manager has it all in my proposal. What I did tell the mayor, city manager, and I'll tell you as well, you're members of the committee, that I said I'm happy to have this position act across the entire city, regardless of the fact that it's sitting in public works, according to the job description, which is now completely broad. City clerk said the same thing. She's completely happy to work with me and the ADA coordinator on things that land in her shop, like the website. So I think the short answer is we tend to act like the position is in constituent services and has citywide responsibility right now, as the job description says, regardless of the fact that it sits in public works, and that there is a proposal in to be considered by finance director, mayor, and ultimately the governing body about funding the position out of general fund and moving it to a different department in the fiscal year 24 budget.
And then what would the timeline look like if that were to be approved? When would we potentially be moved to the new department?
Madam Chair, the beginning of the fiscal year is July 1st. I don't think you would see very much difference because you won't even know. I mean, once you have an ADA coordinator, where that person sits might not be all that visible to this group, but it depends on when all the changes get implemented. Sometimes they happen really fast, right after July 1st. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but not super long.
So to clarify, that's July 1st, 2023.
That's correct. That's the first day of the new fiscal year, fiscal year 24.
Yeah, that helps. That's planned too, if that does happen, because we would be contacting different people, and there would be different people over us. So thank you. All right. Are there any questions in addition to that? Thank you, Regina. So the next item is continued discussion of updates on the new city website. The city never obtained advising from the Mayor's Committee on Disability on website features and accessibility, continued lack of ADA compliant information to request accommodations, and more. Let's see. So there are two things with this. One is that, and it may have dropped off, but the last update on the website says 10/13/2022 for updates. And there's currently, again, I saved the current, those were printed currently in the packet. Your name, mailing address, which I'm saying, so ADA actually requires your physical location to be posted, but the city has always posted the mailing address of PO Box 909, but it doesn't say your name. It just says ADA coordinator currently on all of the pages. Again, the form doesn't have an address of where to mail it to, so things like that. And And I can send you a complete list that we can work on to update it, but I just wanted to say that it's not updated. I know that you did say you were going to.
Actually,
And
Tom updated it for me, so I'm wondering if something got lost, because
Yeah.
he got my information and he updated it. And we
he
posted it
updated
at-
the form, and he told me he updated the form for you. He did say that, and it does, in the form itself includes your name,
Oh.
phone number, and email, but it doesn't include a mailing address. And then the website itself does not identify you as the interim ADA coordinator. It doesn't identify your name. It's like still the email. There's no phone numbers, there's no email, and there's no mailing address. Or there's the old mailing address, but it just says ADA coordinator, to be more specific. So it doesn't identify you.
Okay, we'll get
And
that updated right away. Thank you.
thank you, yeah. And then, and I don't know, like I'm saying, I don't know what's going on with that website. I acknowledge that the website is glitchy. And Tom had put things on there and it reverted to before even Tom put things on there. And so that was an issue when the website was updated, it was not synced properly to the current web pages. I think Robin, you had your hand up, and then Eli.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know tomorrow, Jesse, are you still on? Hi, Jesse. Jesse is an expert at website. I don't want to embarrass you. He does great work. And after I met with the mayor, can't remember when I met with him recently, but and Danny Mackey,
Was it November 22nd?
So yeah, something like that. Yeah,
29th?
I could find it, but I don't know that it matters. You know, we've got two things that we're working on at this point with Danny, and one is that Jesse and Nathan from Commission for Deaf and Hard of Hearing, and I know the CART stuff is coming up later, but Nathan likewise is an expert in that. We have a meeting with Danny tomorrow, right, Jesse, tomorrow at 10, to go over best practices and look at what needs to be done to both those issues to make things more accessible. So I just wanted to throw that in there. And Jesse, if you have anything to add to, please do.
No, it'll be a really good meeting because, you know, when addressing these web accessibility issues, it's always good to, you know, start somewhere and then kind of filter that out through the IT departments and the people actually in charge of running the website. And then any training that can be bestowed to the content uploaders and those responsible for creating things that go on the website. That's where you're gonna really impact the most people that might not know about that they're doing things that are making the website inaccessible, like alt text, color contrast, basic formatting, things like that. So yeah, looking forward to it. This is kind of a step in the right direction for the website here.
Definitely. And I want to say, I mean, that is one thing. I mean, I've looked at some of the overlays like Accessibility, Recite Me and all that. I think Recite Me is one of the better ones I've personally seen, but I'm not a professional on this, but I do know that when I went to the Santa Fe website and tried to use the Accessibility overlay that's on there, I could not figure that out. Nothing changed, nothing happened. It was so, and this is something that I spoke with Mayor Weber about is just how inaccessible that overlay is. And there's a lot of issues about a lot of overlays being out there that don't work. And so these are examples of things that are just not accessible. So I'm excited to have Jesse working with them and see if we can get things a little more accessible, definitely. There was something else, but now it's.
Thank you, Robin and Jesse. If you remember, let me know, Robin.
Yeah.
Eli, go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think sort of what I was going to say was covered by Jesse and Robin. But I'd be happy to see if I can quickly send over some sort of like digital punch lists of some things that might be able to improve the website. I would say overall that you're not starting from a bad place. The city website actually has pretty good color contrast, has some alt text, has heading structure relatively good, visible focus. You know, I would recommend having an accessibility statement on the website. The one thing that, and this was mentioned by Robin, is the Accessibility widget. And just to flag that, that's something that needs to be removed in my mind. For example, just to show the level of barrier that that creates, the National Federation for the Blind used to work with Accessibility, and they recently removed them as a sponsor and had a pretty a negative statement about them, over promising, under delivering. Oftentimes they find folks who are really wanting to do what's in the best interest of the disability community, acting in good faith. Accessibility over promises, and then creates barriers on the website. So I'll send over Robin and Jesse a quick punch list of what I see, and just happy to help in any way. But I will say that generally speaking, the city website, in my opinion, when you compare it to other government websites, is a good place to start. So there's a lot going for it: color contrast, alt text, heading structures, navigation, focus bars. It's pretty good. It with some additional tweaks and some putting in place some processes. I think you can get to a really great website for the community.
And that does remind me, Eli, what you were saying. I just remembered what I was going to say. I think it's really important for the city to be utilizing this committee when they're doing things like looking at their websites. I know here at Disability Rights New Mexico, we have a few staff members with disabilities. And when it came time to redo our website, we were all contacted, and we were part of the committee that helped design the new website for our agency, which just happened like within the last year. And I think it's really important because, you know, the people with the disabilities are the people who are experiencing the barriers. And if you don't have their input, you're just guessing on their behalf. And that's just not the best practice to try to make sure people's needs are being met. So I would really encourage the city to rely heavily on the committee and anyone the committee brings in, because that's kind of their job. So.
Yeah, thank you, Robin. Appreciate that. That's very true. And then the other item, Regina, which we had discussed on October 21st. And we did on Tuesday try to, as a group, we went on the website trying to find where they put the ADA coordinator or ADA compliance links because they are not in the main menu. I don't know if you have an update on that as to why it was placed where it is, which is literally at the very bottom of the page in a tiny little text column number 2. And there is nothing in the main menus where I had mentioned it to you. I don't have the website open. Hold on.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I did ask for that change, and I'll ask for it again.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it should be under living here. So what I was actually thinking was, and I'll say it on record, is that living here should say Americans with Disabilities Compliance as the first item. That city team should actually say ADA coordinator, and your government should say Americans with Disabilities Compliance as well. I know I had told you 2 of those things because I didn't think about adding the ADA coordinator at the time under city team, but that should be so that there's in no way a barrier to searching for that information.
Thank you so much. Can you say the third one again? I got the first 2.
Yeah, so living here and your government should both say Americans with Disabilities Compliance as the first item. And then city team should say ADA coordinator.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because currently it's at the very bottom. It just says ADA compliance, which is an improvement as to what it said, because before there was nothing that I could find at all without actually searching, but it is still really hard to find it on the homepage. You actually still have to search text for it, and it may or may not come up.
I think you bring up a good point. When we were helping the Secretary of State's office kind of redo the certain processes for voting, one of the things that we really encouraged and they definitely complied with was that anything that has to do with ADA accommodations or filing grievances or stuff needs to be clearly placed on a website. And like, so if you use a screen reader and you have something up there on the bottom of the list, that screen reader is going to go through like everything before it gets to that. And the same if you have a visual impairment and you're trying to even just enlarge it and stuff, that extra reading. So we really encourage having stuff at the top of the list of things, so that it's just that much easier for someone to access it. I mean, just put a blindfold on and you know, do Control Windows, what is it? Control Windows, enter, and it'll screen read for you. And just put a blindfold on and try to navigate a screen. I mean, it's really, it's a big challenge. Better than nothing, but it's a challenge. So having things as accessible as possible is important, but that's
I would
for
also-
talk tomorrow.
Yeah. No, thank you, Robin. It's true. I would also ask that the ADA compliance link at the bottom remain, that not be removed, so that on either end of the website on wherever anyone goes, they can access it in both menus. And Eli, would you want to read your statement for this section? Because I think that that's important as well.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. So the state, working with Do It and a number of other large and small departments, has set up a collaborative that's focused on digital accessibility and inclusion. We host monthly workshops that cover all aspects of digital access and inclusion. And it's open to the city if they would, you know, if they would like to join, or one of the people who work on the website would like to join in. It's totally optional, and they can hop in and hop out however they like. It's pretty easygoing. And then if the ADA coordinator wants to get on board, that might be another place for them to learn about all the different aspects of digital inclusion, including like working with vendor and vendor management and some of the best practices out there and some of the legal compliance issues.
Thank you, Eli. So the next item is item 8E, continued discussion regarding requests for accommodations for a stenographer and cart. We had discussed this with you also, Regina, on October 21st, and explained the important differences between a cart stenographer versus the automated text. And I know that you listened, and you did reach out to the city clerk for that, which I appreciate. But the city clerk continues to not follow proper process with regards to cart services and our formal request to receive them. And we are still requesting cart services. And that has not changed. And I want to again emphasize that we sent this first on July 12th to the mayor, city council, city attorney, and got no reply. And this has just been ongoing since then. Let's see, trying to read through this email real quick. Tom forwarded the email to everyone on the governing body, city attorney, everyone on that governing body, this request for cart services. Again, no one replied and no one told us to CC the city clerk, who was not the only governing body member who was not included in that. And then on the November 1st, there's an email chain between, Eli requesting an update, and again explaining the differences between cart services and automated transcription.
Yes,
And
Madam Chair, I wonder if in the interest of time, I could give you an update. And I don't know if you have any other items on the agenda.
I want to read, we have a few, but I want to read, and we started late, and I'm requesting my 2 hours.
Okay, so does someone want to make a motion to extend the agenda time?
Yeah, sure. May we have a motion to extend the meeting since we started 20 minutes late? May we have a motion to extend the meeting an additional 20 minutes?
I so move.
Is there a second?
I
A
second.
second.
May we have a roll call vote?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Alona, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Motion to extend the meeting by 20 minutes.
May we have a roll call
Member
vote?
Black,
Sorry.
Yes.
Chair Gish,
Yes.
Member Parfit,
Yes.
Member Montoya Chavez,
Yes.
and Member Fresquez.
Yes.
Motion
Thank you.
approved.
So this email, this was actually sent by the city clerk, Christine Mahalsik, on October 26th. So this was, of course, after we met, and I appreciate you reaching out to her, Gina. She had replied that we were previously using a different company, EEG, not Zoom. However, Zoom just updated their service and it had 99% accuracy. We just started testing Zoom. This has happened all in probably the past 2 weeks. It is possible to test. Is it possible to test Zoom now that we are using them, not EEG, especially given the new Zoom accuracy? To which you replied, hello, Kathleen and Eli. Hope you're having great days. City clerk just let me know that the city changed closed captioning services in the past couple of weeks. The city was using EEG and they just switched to Zoom service that advertises 99% accuracy. We would love to have review and feedback from the Mayor's Committee on Disability on the news closed captioning service. I want to state, though, that the only way that we can use that is during an actual meeting, unless we set up a time to actually test it and agree to do that. But this in no way acknowledges, denies, approves our CART request. This is the only correspondence we've received that you just forwarded to me because you sent it to my city email. And so this is not a proper process that has been done. And so, and thank you, Jesse. I am requesting again to reiterate that we have not received a formal response.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I thought that was a formal response. That maybe to be more clear, what we're asking is that we look at the transcript from this meeting and there's somebody using closed captioning. Maybe we could get that feedback and see if the accuracy is as billed. If it is actually insufficient and not meeting our needs, then we can pursue some contractual services for this meeting specifically.
Eli, go ahead.
Yeah, big disclaimer. I'm not providing legal advice, even though I am an attorney. But you know, my feelings on this, my thoughts are is that, you know, it's a reasonable accommodation request to modify a policy and practice of the city. You know, oftentimes they look at what does reasonable mean, and that's whether it's a fundamental alteration of a program or service, or whether it's an undue financial or administrative burden. Seems like asking for CART captioning, you know, once a month doesn't meet those two affirmative defenses. And under the ADA, if there is found to be a financial administrative burden, it does require the public entity to write a statement from a top official outlining the reasons for the decision, or the city can provide an alternative, which it sounds like that's what that alternative is. The issue with the alternative is has to be equally effective form of communication. And unfortunately, automated captioning is just not there yet. So it's widely viewed by virtually everyone that automated captioning doesn't get you there. You need a human to actually type out the captioning. In addition to that, there's primary consideration doctrine, which is generally speaking under Title II. Title II entity will honor the choice of the individual requesting, again, unless there's an equally effective alternative. In my opinion, I don't think there is, but you know, not giving legal advice, just throwing out there, just as like, you know, sort of a black and white law out there. And so that's my kind of assessment of the request.
Regina, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And so we understood that the request had been made, but conditions had changed significantly, that we had upgraded the service that we were providing. Is it not, could we ask, I mean, I guess I can give you the formal letter that says this accommodation was requested, this is what the city did. Can I also ask that that be evaluated and then we get feedback on that alternative that we've implemented?
Eli?
I'll let Pam speak. I
Yeah,
see
go
Pam's
ahead.
hand up, yeah.
I am the person with the hearing disability. I must say that today, the closed captioning is significantly better. The problem is it runs out of space and then it starts putting capitals in places where it doesn't make sense. And it has there's a delay, the latency between the speaker. I'm a lip reader, so trying to read lips and make sense of the sound and read captions depends on the speed and the actual equipment that they're using. For example, the young man with the headphone, I can't remember his name. Jesse, his crystal clear, the captions match what he says, and you can say that's 99% accurate. But for me, other people are impossible. For example, your speech is almost unintelligible for me. And that what I don't pick up, neither do those captions. It's your audio that's as much of the problem in using this system. If your audio isn't good, it's not going to pick up what I don't pick up. So I'm then looking from your lips to the fill in, and it's not getting it either.
And do you use CART ever, or are you familiar with it?
Yes.
Yeah, and it works better, you think?
I've only had one experience with it, with an HLAA convention. And it depends, again, who's using it, where it's placed, and how many speakers are speaking. And there's an improvement from what I remember, and there's an improvement today. But again, it depends who's running it, where the CART captions are located. Right now, I'm able to move with my cursor captions right under somebody's face so that I can do it. I can make sense of it, but I'm going to say the audio, and we're using home systems, you're using a city system, which is actually the worst of all the participants.
Good feedback. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Pam. Gina Maria, is your comment
Yes, it just typed silly instead of city. Oh, I don't know which camera's on. So. And
yeah,
it
no, and
typed
that's
acquaintance instead of equipment. I turned it on just to see. But
yeah, it's just, you guess, but are you ready? You're guessing.
yeah, it's not fair to have to guess like that.
no.
That's why
So-
I do second motions or usually make them, because I'm never actually 100% sure what I'm approving.
And what you're saying is you're not able to 100% participate. If you're guessing, you don't have the same accessibility.
No.
You know, and Gina Maria, that's kind of my thought. You're saying it's not fair, and that's true, but I think that more appropriately, it's not accessible.
Mhm.
Yes.
And being that this is a meeting for people with disabilities, it needs to be accessible and inclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just, Madam Chair, just to add on that point, it's for this committee it's for Pam, but it's also for the community as well. So there's some benefit to the community at large. We have a very big deaf community in Santa Fe, for example. And then I'd also want to add that when you get the transcript, when it's captioned, it's going to be much more accurate. I know for a fact, because I've looked at lots of transcripts that are done through automated speech recognition, and then others that are done by a person. And for the automated speech recognition, you have to go back in there and clean it up. But for most of the captioning, it's relatively clear. I will say though that I really thank Pam for her input. And I will say that it's going to depend on the quality of the captioner as well. So nothing's 100%. My experience has been that captioning gets you closer to that accuracy. And automated speech recognition is not quite there yet.
So just real quick, Nathan from the New Mexico Commission for Deaf and Hard of Hearing, who is just brilliant at this kind of stuff. He will be in that meeting tomorrow with Danny and whoever else Danny has. And these are things that he can really go into detail about and provide some really excellent guidance. So.
Thank you, everyone. And Regina, we would like a formal letter because that is what is required by the ADA. We need a formal response, otherwise it is not legal. And that is part of the process. We have a right to appeal it. We have a right to receive it and receive notice of the city's decision within a timely manner. And so we will be working with the city clerk. I also would like to invite her at some point soon, maybe a February meeting, to go over what her legal obligations are in regard to meeting accommodations and how she is required to respond to requests for accommodations. So that will be a future meeting.
And just to be clear, Nathan's not only an expert, and before I forget, he actually has hearing loss himself. So part of the reason he is such an expert is because he has to use these features himself. And I think that covers that, you know, having someone who really experiences the situation. So.
Thank you, Robin. And that is a
Madam
key.
Chair, I had a question,
part.
if I might.
Yeah.
So does the CART person who's doing the manual captioning, they would probably have challenges if audio is bad as well. I mean, I think, is that true? If we're in Zoom and someone's audio is bad, how will they know what's being said?
So yeah, so to clarify, they can actually request a person restate what they were saying, so there can be clarification. We can also let someone know that their audio is bad. There's different ways. The thing is with automated captioning, that can't happen. The other thing is, go ahead, Eli, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say any good CART captioner often will ask for an agenda before the meeting so that they can get the names, know how to spell them. It's just a common practice. You're going to notice with automated captioning, the speech recognition, it's not going to get the names very well at all. So that's one of the benefits, is there's like some prep work that a good captioner will do.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm just asking about the audio quality. Actually, that problem seems to be something that might be a challenge in any rate, but I get your feedback. Thank you so much. I might also add, what I've noticed is that you're telling me some things, and then this group is going to the mayor and telling Danny Mackey some things, and you know, unless I'm aware of what's going on and included, I can't help. So I'm not being included.
Yeah, and I'm working on that with us being included, because right now we finally have met formally, all of us together. And so we now have a more cohesive team, and I consider us to be a team working on this. This is absolutely group effort. No one person can make this happen. And so I'm getting feedback as well. I will include you in that as much as I get. And I will be reaching out to everybody going forward to make sure that we are all on the same page, because I noticed that as well with the job description. You know, Danny Mackey was saying one thing, you were doing something else. There needs to be communication between all of us, and we need to all be on the same page. And so I am working on that, and I am hoping to make that happen. if you're not notified of something, I obviously can't be upset with you. There's no, and I'm not going to be. There's no, I'm not expecting you to know things that you were never told. But and I've noticed that. So I will continue with the agenda now because we are at the end. Real quick, Regina, are there any updates on Christopher Pommier, who we requested a formal request for his appointment on the committee? Have you heard anything at all?
I think we have, the city clerk is aware of the desire. And I believe you were included on the email that she sent, which she believed to be the current list. I think we'll give her updates
Yeah.
from this meeting about corrections to that
Right.
list. And
Correct.
she'll be processing an appointment, I believe.
Okay. So will you please send that information to me as soon as you receive it, if when he is appointed or denied, one of the two?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd be happy to, and I might even do it a little bit in advance of that. It'll be appointed at a governing body meeting, and as soon
Okay.
as it gets on an agenda, I'll let you know.
Thank you so much, because I just want to note that it was September 19th when I submitted that to the mayor. So this is a process, and now that we have another vacancy, I'm hoping that it doesn't take another 3 to 4 months to approve somebody, So are there any mayor's committee subcommittee reports? I don't think there are.
Sure, I'll be really quick.
Okay.
I did for the subcommittee, the core advisory group for disability access and functional needs. I did touch base with Brian Williams, and he had a fantastic update. He's in the process of procuring the ADA communication kits. So these are assistive listening devices that can be used in emergencies, what we call disasters, but also blue sky. So we could also use them for other kinds of events to improve accessibility. They come with like an iPad and other kinds of assistive devices. We're talking a bit right now actually about some trainings. So I just really want to thank the city and thank Brian for putting that in place. I think he's using some COVID money to do that. And I think it's fabulous. So thank you.
Thank you. That's a wonderful update. Aurora?
The Transit Advisory Board is trying to reconstitute itself. And so we had kind of a planning meeting for that. The senior van is starting to do grocery runs again. So that's good because they were just doing doctors and pharmacies. So they're starting to do grocery runs. So that's helpful. And then all the buses that are on demand and all that kind of stuff, they're down 62% in terms of drivers. They have 58 slots and they have 36 vacancies as of about 2 weeks ago. So, I think they've done a great job keeping it together. And they're gonna take bids for the downtown transit center. So they'll probably do that next winter because they try and do it when their tourists are not here. And they're also taking bids for maybe next summer for the Southside Transit Center because they lost part of that money, but they're going to get some COVID money to replace it. But that's going to have indoor space and bathrooms. So that's really nice. So anyway, and they're looking at like micro transit and different kind of the COVID has kind of opened them up to new ideas, in terms of moving people around in smaller areas and in smaller vehicles. So stay tuned.
Thank you. Those are both wonderful updates. So next is matters from staff. Regina?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't think I have any additional matters.
So you're supposed to make a statement about you or Halona is supposed to make a statement about the link being included in the minutes.
Item
9, matters
Item
from
9,
staff.
yes, item 9. I believe this was discussed and added at Jeff Norris's direction that a link to the video recording of this meeting will be added to the meeting minutes for this meeting.
Thank you. And matters from the committee, I just want to acknowledge and thank you for adding the article on the deteriorating bridge downtown that I requested that I had to Just briefly do an FYI under matters from the committee, which we have done in the past. And that was attached to the current packet. And I thank you for that. And then I also really quickly want to acknowledge Mayor Weber, Danny Mackey, Senior Advisor to the Mayor, Robin Garrison of Disability Rights New Mexico, Disability Advocate, Nathan Gome, Executive Director of the New Mexico Coalition for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, Gemini Shell, Disability Specialist with the Governor's Commission on Disability, Jesse Armijo, Assistant Technology Coordinator with New Mexico TAP, several community advocates, including Ann Marsh and Gina Maria Opalescent, the members of the Mayor's Committee on Disability, and finally Regina Wheeler, who's our interim ADA coordinator and director of public works, because this team that we have and anyone else who will be joining us in the future is key to rebuilding ADA compliance in the city of Santa Fe. And together we can do it. Individually, it's too much, but together we absolutely can, and we can rebuild it to be what it should have been this entire time. And moving forward to make the city of Santa Fe fully ADA compliant. And I really appreciate all of you completely, all of the work that you are doing. And I understand challenges that we are doing. I understand challenges that we have. I'm not trying to push anybody or, be a thorn in anyone's side. This is all really important work, and I'm grateful for each of you. And Helona as well. I didn't include you in that now that you're our liaison. I appreciate you as well. And I've appreciated emailing you back and forth, even though we've been trying to figure out how to get things done. I did not know that you were our liaison. I was not told that. So I was sitting here thinking, who is this person, So I appreciate that. And with that, our next meeting is February 1st, 2023. Pam, if you have something really quick to say.
Very quick, a
Go ahead.
key point in the feedback on this system, I just noticed, Kathleen, when you were reading quickly, the captioning was terrible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the accuracy is very dependent upon the speed with which the speaker is speaking. And you speak quite clearly, Regina, so quickly. So your transcriptions are not auditorily or speed-wise very easy to read through the captions.
Thank you, Pam. Yeah, and I look forward to receiving the transcript, Regina. If you can send that to me as well, and I can see for myself what it looks like. I know when I transcribed the audio from the last meeting, because I audio recorded it, it was about 75% accurate. No titles, no names were accurate. Like descriptions of things often were inaccurate. Again, if someone spoke fast, it was inaccurate. So yeah, it's the same issue. And that was Otter AI that I used to transcribe that. That was a paid account. So that was 75% accurate with a paid account. In my estimation, our next meeting is February 1st, 2023 from 3 to 5 p.m. I will be again requesting Zoom accommodations. And if there is nothing else to add, Aurora, go ahead.
Sorry, I forgot to say June 24th, 5:30, there's a transit planning meeting. If you're interested in public transportation or paratransit, please attend 5:30 at Transit Department. January 24th.
Thank you. And if there's nothing else to add, our meeting is adjourned at 12:28 p.m.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Stay warm.
Thank
everyone.
you,
Take care.
thank you.